So just want to welcome you. And above all, I want to thank the people who really worked very hard putting this together tonight. So Sam Watkins and Helene Stoller, and then Bill Altman's doing our technical support. And then Emma Avatar, I want to put in a special thanks because she worked on getting the lyrics translated. So I don't know how many of you either printed or even saw that there was a song sheet attached to the email with the link. So it's got English translations for everything we're about to hear. This is it for us for 2020 in terms of adult ed. We've got some neat things planned for January already, and we're going to be meeting the next few days to work on February and March. So I look forward to being able to bring you, we look forward. And I just want to give shout out to the adult ed committee. So it's, if I get everyone, my husband Stuart and myself, Larry and Jane Rosendorf, Ken, not Ken Cantor, Ken Rosenberg, and Carol Liff and Helene Stoller. And we've all worked really hard, coming up with ideas for you. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Helene and let her take it from there.
Okay, thank you, Karen. I want to also thank Karen for having put together the song sheet for us and distributed it to you all. It's not necessary, but certainly if you'd like to follow along with the lyrics so you kind of know what the songs are about and what they're singing, that's great. But I assure you, if you don't have the lyrics or don't want to spend the time downloading them, you'll still get the message from the music. The music is that evocative, I think. So I'm going to turn over the stage now to Sam. Now, Sam loves to research things. He's a history buff, and I am so grateful that he has been willing to find information for us that would be relevant to these songs and also to the story about Israeli music, how it came to be, the influences on it, and what it is today. So Sam, take it away.
Okay, thanks. Actually, I have an hour lecture prepared on the history of it. And you did not tune in to hear a lecture, but just a few words about Israeli music. Israel, of course, is in world things a new nation. It hasn't been around centuries and many centuries and whatnot. So to say there's a unique national genre, tune back in another 100 years and we'll perhaps by that time know. In the United States, we say that jazz is kind of the only native music, if you will. And it was almost 300 years after Jamestown, before that emerged. So we've got a lot of time before something will emerge as uniquely Israeli. That said, Israel, more than most nations, has had a national interest in promoting and growing music, which that's not unique among nations, but it's certainly unusual and speaks very well to the quality of music that will ultimately emerge. Beginning in the 1950s, the Israeli Defense Force sponsored a lot of music, musicians, whatnot. Now, that's also not absolutely unusual. I imagine Larry would speak to this. In the United States, if you play a wind instrument and you're just coming out of college, the place to find a job would be with the United States Army, because most wind players actually play in military bands somewhere. So it's not unusual for nations to be involved in music. And that continued for the first almost 20 years up until beginning to change in 1967. I can't say that it's a direct result of the 7 Days War, but for whatever reason, beginning around the time of the war, music in Israel begins to broaden and move expansively away from the military focus, military band and whatnot focus, into many, many, many other areas. And just, when you look at music in Israel, you would say, okay, there's a lot of music that comes from Eastern Europe because as folks immigrated, they brought with them music from Hungary, Russia, whatnot. And certainly that's true, but just a few things. There's Israeli jazz, Israeli psychedelic dance, trance music, Israeli rap and hip hop. And if you'd like to know a lot about rap and hip hop, just ask me because I know absolutely nothing about it. Heavy metal, of course, Orthodox Jewish music, but also Israeli Arab music, Israeli Jewish, Iraqi Jewish music, music from lots and lots and lots of places and groups and cultures, many having the common denominator of being Jewish, but not all, and merging together. It will be very interesting if we can gather again in another century and see where this goes. But for now, it simply leaves us with just an incredible breadth of music of many, many genres. And that's probably all we need to say about history of again, you don't want to hear my hour lecture. Go on to the.
Okay, to the music.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you're going to do a little intro and then I'll talk about it a little bit.
Exactly. So the first piece that we'll be playing is Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, which the choir sings, Temple Osei Shalom choir sings at the high holidays, but you're going to hear a much, much better version. This one is sung by 16 female cantors from around the world. They're singing in, I think, like 8-part harmony. There's some solos and some choral parts of it. It's just beautiful. And now I'll have Sam explain this piece to you, where it came from and what it means.
This is an Israeli piece, of course, written in 1967. Again, 1967 is kind of a red letter year in many ways, of course, in Israeli history. It was developed as part of or around a competition, but it was actually commissioned by the mayor, Teddy Kollek, and many people have suggested, proposals have been made that it be made the national anthem. And that proposal has come forth on more than one occasion, but hasn't gotten very far. Some of the melody historically comes from earlier years and whatnot, but it's an original piece. It's a wonderful piece. And again, the year of its composing is 1967. So when you hear it, you connect in some ways with the events in Jerusalem, in Israel, in that year. Okay.
You want to say who composed it?
Yeah, Naomi Shemer.
Right. Okay.
וריח עמי Thank you.
Wow. So we'll just give credits to everyone who performed here. So now I have a hopefully amusing anecdote, if I can tell it well enough, about this song that involves my daughter, who was an undergraduate at the time that her Jewish a cappella music singing group performed this piece for Shimon Peres. Now, the reason that this happened was the president of the university that she was attending was a macher in the American Jewish community, a big fundraiser for Israel. And Shimon Peres was coming to the United States for a number of reasons, one of which was to meet with him. So this president decided, why not invite McGevitt, which is the name of the singing group that my daughter belonged to perform a song in welcome for Shimon Peres. And despite the fact that they only had a week to figure out what that song would be and prepare it, they valiantly went forward and did this. 8 parts, no accompaniment, and basically no rehearsal, and they had to memorize it too. Now, what you saw were 16 women who could refer to music, they had accompaniment, and they're all professionals. So they did really, really extraordinarily well. These are 8 young people who are doing their best with a tuning fork to determine the pitch. So they got one note and they started off singing Yerushalayim Shel Zahav in 8 parts. And Shimon Peres had this big, big smile on his face. He was just delighted to hear this iconic song of Israel. Only midway through the piece, the choir started going flat and his smile started turning down. And by the end of the piece, it was a grimace, as if to say, how soon can this piece be over? And so every time I hear this song or sing this song, I always think of this experience that my daughter had. Anyway,
Helene, quick question. Do you remember what year that was?
Well, my daughter was at Yale, which is where this took place, between the years of 2005 and 2009.
Never mind. Okay.
So it was sometime then.
Okay.
Okay. So now we have another piece that's religious in nature, about Jerusalem as well. It's called, what is it called? Well, I don't even have the name of the song. The singers is a group of boys, the Shirah Chadashah Boys Choir. Now, what you'll notice in this piece is there's a short melodic line and it gets repeated over and over again because the prayer that it's written around is a short one. So in order to make it interesting, the key changes, they add harmony, there are different voices, they have different scenes, but you'll probably know this tune by the time it's finished, the piece is finished.
הבויתים בשם, כי את לא ימות לאדם ישב. הבויתים בשם, כי את לא ימות לאדם ישב. הבויתים בשם,
We can cut it now. I don't think we're going to try out. Well, the next piece is an instrumental piece played by violinist Boris Sevchuk. He's playing a Hasidic Jewish melody, which looks a lot like scenes, well, in some places, it looks a lot like scenes from Fiddler. In fact, he's dressed like Muddle the Tailor, as far as I'm concerned. I think this music probably comes, even though it's played in Israel, it probably comes from Russia, as you'll see from the hats and the garments that are being worn. It just looks like people migrated from Russia and brought their culture to Israel. Someone mentioned that they were dancing to Katanti, but that wasn't Katanti. We're coming up to Katanti. That's the next piece. So this is a very haunting biblical song, and Sam will introduce it and explain perhaps a bit about it.
Katanti, yeah, a haunting tune is perhaps a very good definition. A little bit about it. The author, the composer, Yonatan Razelos, it was composed, it's very contemporary, composed 2014. And in 2014, it was the lead, the number one single recording in Israel.
Mm.
Now, if you have the song sheet now or at some time, take the time to read the lyrics and think about the lyrics of this song, because this is a very special song. It's taken from Torah, from Genesis, toward the end of Genesis, 32nd chapter. And it's the story of Jacob preparing to meet again his brother Esau after many, many years of being estranged from one another. And Jacob utters the word katanti, meaning I am diminished, I'm unworthy, I'm humbled. And the lyrics, the song develops forward. It's has become a song frequently connected with Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. And again, if you read the lyrics, there's an obvious connection. This is one you want to read, to hear, to remember, and to come back to from time to time. Let's hear it.
קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני
Just beautiful. And I don't know if you noticed the woman in the audience. I'm surprised there were only 2 people listening to this. The man just sat back and listened, but the woman was really absorbed in it. She would mouth the words at points and tears were streaming from her eyes. It was so beautiful and moving for her. Okay, now we're going to switch to a happier song. I'm a Jew and a proud Jew. And Sam will give us some background on this one too.
With this one and with one we'll get to in a little bit, we're really moving into contemporary, very mainline, popular Jewish music. The composer is Ari Goldwag, and he was born in New York, where else? And grew up in New York. An interesting piece, and you'll see why in a bit later, when he was, around 8, 9, 10 years old, he sang in the Miami Boys Choir. And just remember that. We'll come back to that. He moved to Israel in 2000, met a lady who became his wife, 2001, 2002. And she, of course, since it's in Israel, she wasn't from New York, of course, certainly not. She was from, where is it here? Seattle, Washington. There you go. The piece, well, again, it's contemporary, it's very popular, and he continues to write and live in Israel, by the way. Very into the music scene. If you're looking for something that's current Israeli popular music, remember the name Ari Goldwag and look for him. Okay.
רבות עברם הזה בדרך, ואני הולך עם ראש למעלה, כל אחד הוא בן או בת של מלך. ככה היה, וככה זה גם עלה, יהודי עם נשמה בוערת. בכל מקום ובכל ארץ, לא רוצה שיהיה אחרת. יהודי אני, זה משהו נצחי. בני אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, בני שרה רבקה רחל ולאה. בני אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, בני שרה רבקה רחל ולאה. History I've been through. Ask me where I'm from and I will tell you I'm a Jew and every Jew's a proud Jew. Not just me, my sisters and my brothers, never be ashamed to be a proud Jew. It's not what you've done, it's how he made you. So sing this song and spread the pride around you. Yehudi ani, eternally. Bnei Abraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, bnei Sarah Rivka, Rachel v'Leah. Bnei Abraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, bnei Sarah Rivka, Rachel v'Leah.
can I do for you, officer?
License and registration, please.
Here you go.
So as Sam pointed out to me, that was filmed in New York City, despite the fact that a lot of it was in Hebrew and they were showing Jewish artifacts and garb and so forth. It was done in New York City. Okay, so our next piece is another very haunting piece, a beautiful piece, One Human Tissue. And this is performed in 2014 in front of the Yad Vashem Israel Holocaust Memorial. There are a number of people in the audience, so it was a solemn occasion, but I don't know what occasion it was. The woman who is singing it is dressed fairly informally, and there's only an electric piano, so it's not a particularly formal performance, but it's very beautiful, and I hope you'll like it.
כשאמות משהו ממני, משהו ממני ימות בך, ימות בך. כשתמות משהו ממך בי, משהו ממך בי ימות איתך, ימות איתך. כי כולנו, כן כולנו, כולנו רקמה אנושית אחת חיה, ואם אחד מאיתנו הולך מימנו, משהו מת בנו, משהו נשאר איתו. אם נדע איך להרגיע, איך להרגיע את האיבה, אם רק נדע, אם נדע, אם נדע להשקיט את זעמנו על אף עלבוננו לומר סליחה, אם נדע להתחיל מההתחלה. כי כולנו, כן כולנו, כולנו רקמה אנושית אחת חיה, ואם אחד מאיתנו הולך מימנו, משהו מת בנו, משהו נשאר איתו.
This piece is one that I think you probably want to look at the words, the meaning of the words, because it's very poignant. When I shall die, something of mine will die in you, will die in you. When you will die, something of yours in me will die with you, will die with you. Because all of us, yes, all of us are one living human tissue. And if one of us goes from us, something dies in us and something stays with him. If we will know how to comfort the hostility, if only we would know, if we will know how to quiet our rage, if we'd know how to quiet upon the fury of our humiliation, to say sorry, if we would know how to start from the beginning, and then because all of us, the chorus again, because all of us are of one living human tissue. So a very, very poignant song, and she did it just beautifully. Okay, we're going to switch now to another upbeat, happy song, Hakol Mishamayim, performed by Mordechai Shapiro, again in New York City. And I think Sam has some information to share with us on this piece.
Yes, Mordechai Shapiro, the composer, again, comes from New York. Now, you remember when we were talking about Ari Goldwag a bit ago, I kind of dropped in that he sang as a child, of course, with the Miami Boys Choir. Well, Shapiro, when he was 7 years old, was the male lead with the Miami Boys Choir. They're not, Shapiro's a bit younger, 10 years or so younger, so they wouldn't have been together. But I think it's quite ironic that we have two contemporary Jewish popular songwriters, both of whom come from New York, both of whom sang in the Miami Boys Choir for whatever reason. A difference in the two, I mentioned Ari Goldwag moved to Israel around 2000 and continues to be there. Shapiro grew up in New York and is still in New York. He's been very successful in writing contemporary Jewish music. So while he's not really Israeli, it's the same, well, I shouldn't say same, it's a very similar style, particularly with Goldwag. It represents the current world of contemporary Jewish music. And he's had at least four really big time hits, all of them since 2015. So, he's very current, on top of his game, as it were. And the one we're going to hear tonight was written in 2019. So it's an old song. It's a year old. And this is one that, as we were looking at, as Helene and I were looking at the films early on, I thought, those cars have New York license plates. And that skyline looks kind of familiar. So you will recognize that the particular part of Israel that this is known as New York.
יודע מה אני רוצה היום, אבל הכל משתנה פתאום, וזה בסדר, אני לא אשם, כי זה רצון השם. אני הולך, לא רואה את הסוף, מאמין שיהיה רק טוב. אני קטן, כן אני קטן, להתמונה גדולה, וכל מה שקורה זה סבבה, לא מפחד משום דבר, כי אני בידיים של אבא שלי. הכל יודע מה אני רוצה היום, אבל הכל משתנה פתאום, וזה בסדר, אני לא אשם, כי זה רצון השם. אני הולך לא רואה את הסוף, מאמין שיהיה רק טוב. אני קטן, כן אני קטן, והתמונה גדולה, וכל מה שקורה זה סבבה, לא מפחד משום דבר, כי אני בידיים של הבא, של הבא שלי. הכל משמיים, עצום את העיניים, הכל משמיים, עצום את העיניים. Sometimes it's planning too easy to see, but I know that he's taking care of me. So I'll do away with my vision for today, and I'll let things play out in a godly way. My little human eyes just don't get the picture here. I got no reason to fear, I got no reason to fear. הכל משמיים, עצום את העיניים. Let's go! הכל משמיים, עצום את העיניים. Let's go!
Okay. So that one tells a story with a moral. Just be good people and God will look after you, right? Okay, so we're coming up to the last piece, which I think everybody knows, but probably not in this version. This is Hamenu Shalom Aleichem. We sing that in the temple. You've probably sung it since you were children. This version is performed at the Ben Gurion Airport on the occasion of an International Birthright Israel group arriving in 2018. It's done as a flash mob with various groups joining in at different times. And I thought it would be a fun way to end the program. I hope you enjoy it.
הבאנו שלום, הבאנו שלום, הבאנו שלום עליכם. הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם.
ought to applaud for this program. It was so good. Seriously, can you unmute everyone? We can all applaud.
Let me start by saying how fabulous this was.
I can't unmute everyone, but if everyone has permission to unmute themselves.
Right. But I have to tell you, the Yerushalayim Shel Zahav brought tears to my eyes because it's one of my favorites. And it was beautiful. So thank you, Helene and Sam, for putting this together. It was just awesome. Thank you so much for your hard work. And Bill, thank you for coordinating the technology of it all.
Yep.
My pleasure.
And Sam and Helene, I know how hard you worked on this. So really, thank you so much. I think just brought a lot of joy to all of us this evening.
It was
Good.
fun.
That's what I hoped we would do. We needed it. We needed
I
it.
just want to know why we can't do that last one in the temple. The way they,
Last month.
That way, we've done it before. Where have you been?
like that?
You don't know.
There is a limit to what our congregants will tolerate.
Oh, I cannot believe
Hello.
after you watch that and hear that you wouldn't stand up and dance yourself. Seriously, in the
Phyllis
temple.
Steinberg would agree with you because she loves to dance. We've done that in conjunction with another piece of music. Helene, help me out here. We've done the Habeinu Shalom Aleichem along with, oh my God. You remember that part piece we did?
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah, well, it's escaping me too. But you know, it'd be a good thing to bring up again. When we get together and congregate in physical person, it would be a good thing to end a service with.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you. It was fabulous.
It was fabulous. Thank you. Helene and Sam, thank you.
Thank you
So
very
much
It was
fun.
wonderful.
Excellent program.
Helene and
Very
Sam,
nice.
great
Very
job.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love
Thank you.
that
Thank
Sam
you.
is doing this with us.
You're
I
so
love that Sam
happy.
is involved.
Bill, Wonderful. Penny, so.
Very glad you
Bill,
did it.
Yes.
this is Rhoda. You recorded it. Can we get a copy of it?
Oh.
Well,
Yeah, you go to YouTube.
let me just say something. As I was watching this, a lot of our recordings have copyrighted materials and I get dinged on it on YouTube. So I'm going to probably post this on my personal OneDrive account and send you that link because I don't want to go through the hassle of trying to record it and trying to post it on YouTube. So yes,
Right.
once it's on OneDrive, you can download it yourself. It's going to be a massive file, a couple of 100 megabytes, but yes.
Thank you, Bill. Can you put it on
Okay,
the,
great.
can you put it on the temple website, or would that be a problem as well?
I will try, but that's
Okay.
a little bit more difficult.
I know there's a copyright issue with some of that stuff. We have the same problem with High Holy Day stuff. Yeah.
Couldn't mess with it.
Oh, this was great. Helene and Sam, I can't thank you enough. This was very
Oh,
fun.
it was
Very nice.
wonderful.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great turnout, which means music always brings us together.
Yay.
Yes.
Probably have, my count close to 60, if not more.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, wonderful.
Pretty nice.
We had, I think, 48 devices.
Yeah, so probably close to 60
Double.
people.
Something like that. But yeah, but I couldn't, there may be more people that I can't
48
see.
devices were on.
Yeah,
She thinks it was
yeah.
60.
Want
Anyway,
to wish everybody who's still on a happy and healthy 2021. I
Yes.
hope
Yes.
day where we can
Yes.
be together.
you. Thank you.